And welcome back to part 6 of Dragon Star VARNIR, where today we're going into the Forest of Madness just to test Faria to see if she's ready to join us on the long journey to the Star Temples. Yeah, my heart is pounding, I'm so excited I don't know what to do with myself. You talk a lot, you know. What you're feeling sounds appropriate though. Faria was so stiff when we left, but it seems like she's showing her true colours now. All her excitement must have overcome her fear. Hey Karikaru, how did you feel on your first hunt? I wasn't scared at all. What? Really, Karikaru? I know you're more skittish than you seem. Hey, I'm not skittish. What about you, Charlotta? I don't remember, to be honest. It was that unimportant, huh? Wow. Oh, I didn't say that. I've just forgotten. It was such a long time ago. It's difficult to remember the torrents of a storm long past. I'm sure once you've matured enough, you'll understand. I see. Karikaru's advice was useless compared to yours. Can you not compare us like that? Any thoughts, Manessa? It doesn't seem like we have to worry much to worry about. Yeah, it's better than her being scared for it. You think she's taking this too lightly and it's a little worrisome. Yeah, exactly. When I became a knight, Gran would worry about me in the same way. But when that happened, my senior, everyone learns from experience. And if you were to put it differently, your experience being alive is what helps you raise another. Huh? Oh, it's something someone once told me. Faria being put in a situation that's a little more dangerous than normal will be good for her. It'll be in your best interest to let her continue. Deep down, I know you're right. It's just... Oh, look at that rabbit! Oh, wow. Oh, it's so cute. I've never seen a rabbit before. Yeah, animals don't usually come by the den. It'll run away if you run up to it. It's all good. Wow, so fluffy. It's really nice. Hey, get away from there! Huh? But why? You're kind of scaring me. What? Oh. The rabbit! Faria, get back. It's a dragon. Damn it, how dare you? Why are you just standing there? It's gonna go for you next. Hey, are you listening? If you have any plans on staying alive, step back already. Damn it, she's freaking out. Vanessa, let's get the dragon. Right, let's do it. I guess Faria wasn't ready. Crashing. Crashing is a new system that you can now learn. Essentially, certain attacks that can knock enemies. I mentioned it before with how you can place trap mines and then hit enemies into them. Crashing is a similar beat, but you're just hitting enemies into one another. Oh, you now get to see Charlotta's dragon form and the questionable camera angles, starting right there. I was like, Charlotta's dragon form is probably my favourite of the bunch, more so just because of her special attack. I like the way that she becomes almost like she looks like the embodiment of fire. The way they do her dragon form, and I love that. And I love her special attack. Look at this. Like throws all the fire size, punches them into the next dimension, and then just summons a bomb like a fire tornado. And the only thing that's glowing is her eye. I just thought that was when I first saw that, I was like, whoa, that's so cool. Compared to the rest of them, and to be fair, they all look pretty cool in this game, but that one just stood out to me. I was like, damn, that looks amazing. And I like the thing with the eye, that when she's in her dragon form, one of her eyes change colour. Well, they both technically change colour. One just becomes a darker tone and the other straight up changes colour. But I just love the dragonic form of Charlotta. She is like the best one in my opinion. Faria, you okay now? Hey, you listening? We killed the dragon. Huh? What? I'm sorry, Faria. This is my fault. What do you mean? I shouldn't have let you come. You weren't ready to go on a hunt. Let's head back to the den. No, I don't want to. Huh? Don't you think it's a little too early to send her home? It was her first hunt. I don't think her reaction was that abnormal. Was yours any different? Let me guess. You single-handedly defeated the dragon and people still talk about it to this day. Is that it? Well, I can understand where you're coming from. She'll be useless to us if she dies. She could sit on the sidelines a while before battling again. Manessa, I'm sorry. I didn't want you to see me look so weak. I'm going to try hard to get used to it. Can you please let me stay just a little longer? Fine, if you mean it, you can stay, Faria. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Manessa. I don't know, it's Manessa you should be thanking. Just don't overdo it, okay? It's the only advice I have for you. Yes, remain focused in battle. If we encounter another dragon, take cover behind us. Consider that to be your position for now.
Kirikoro, Lapo, thank you, and thanks to you too.
Sure. Let's keep going. And now we are properly in the Forest of Madness. This area isn't that big, but just like the Sanctuary, there is a lot of cutscenes that's going to be on the other end of this dungeon, which is why this video is a little shorter, because I'm doing that all next part, because I recorded it all, and the video is like 70 minutes long. And I was like, no, I need to split this up. But the only reasonable place to split it up was to split it at the end of this dungeon. So we'll be doing the whole dungeon trip today, then the next part we'll do all the cutscenes and such. Which actually means, for like the rest of this video, I get to just chat about the game, without having to do commentary on like voice acting for my characters. Which to be fair, if you've been around the channel long enough, starting from like Celeste, I've been trying to do the voices of the characters. It's either Celeste or Detention, whichever I did first. I can't remember now, it's a while ago. I think it was Detention I did first, actually. And I've been voicing characters like you might have heard. But as time's gone on, I've enjoyed it more and more. Like when I first started doing it, I was doing it more because I was like, well, I should be reading the text, but just reading it in my normal voice wouldn't sound that interesting. At least to me, it didn't seem like it'd be that interesting. But the more I've done it, the more I've got used to it, the more I actually kind of look forward to it. It's another reason why I look forward to like doing Idea Factory games, because I get to have voice characters, because I know they won't have all the lines voiced. Dragonstar is kind of a special case in the sense of it didn't quite have the budget to have as much voice work as some of the other Idea Factory games. So there's a lot more, even really early on. There's a lot more of me talking the voice lines instead of the characters voicing them, as you've probably noticed. Especially if you compare it to like Death End Request. Where Death End Request, it was like, of the first 2 hours of the game, I spent like an hour and 40 minutes of it not talking because of voice cutscenes. Like, and I can imagine it'll be the same in Death End 2, because Death End 2, like, they're putting everything into that, it feels like. They're putting a lot of budget and time and effort into that, so I think that game's going to be very like voice actedly chat heavy. But we have got some new enemies in here, some small ones again. Like I said, the smaller enemies you can usually just push straight for a devour right from the get-go, because there's a chance you'll just kill them on the attack. But there's also a few enemies from the Sanctuary here, like these haunted, these more grounded dragons that you can see at the bottom level. Which is great, because Manessa was the only one not to get a haunted when we was in the Sanctuary, so I now got the opportunity to clean it up. Additionally though, because there's a lot of reoccurring enemies, like usual, if we go into a fight and every enemy that's on the field is an enemy we have fought before, I will be skipping the encounter unless something interesting happens. So we just got Haunted Dragon for Manessa.
Let's go.
But to talk about something that you need to be aware of before you finish this dungeon, this is your last dungeon before a certain event occurs that starts the time limit I have been alluding to for a while. So if you want to get some grinding done and make sure you are just a little bit better and a little bit ahead of where you want to be, now's when you do it. Don't trigger the cutscene at the end of this dungeon. Fight the enemies you want here, fight in the Sanctuary Cave if you want, go all the way back to the Forest of Judgment if you want, just to clean up dragons. Just get some basic grinding in and put yourself in a position that you feel more comfortable in. This game isn't too hard, it's pretty respectable in that sense, but having a time limit on a turn-based JRPG will stress you out because of how much patience and strategy you need to have. It literally works against the entire purpose you're here. Also, the entirety of this encounter, I was like, well, everyone's got a slight chance of getting the Devour, so I'm just going to push until I get it. And despite the fact it was like 30%, I consistently didn't get it. 60%, let's go, there we go. There's also rare dragon bugs you can find around here, and to be wary of rare dragon bugs is that when you go into a fight with them, they'll immediately try and confuse the party to either make it so your cast will run away on their own, or they can get away easier, which is why they're rare. It's like a gold hand in Persona, where if you spend too much time with them, they run away. We have these awesome dragons here as well. But yeah, that time limit, like, I've got the start of the timer recorded. The biggest thing that should help relax you a little bit is knowing that the time limit does not move when you're in the Witch's Den. It only starts ticking when you are outside the den and exploring environments. So you can breathe whilst you're in the den if you so wish, to try and get your bearings, do shopping, spend some time with the witches, because after this dungeon we're going to be able to really start committing to that and doing it a lot more, because Charlotta will be able to talk to as well. So it will start opening up more and more. And we'll start getting more money, because early game it's near impossible to get any decent money, but then after here, we won't necessarily have much, but we'll be getting in a better position. Especially if we start getting more side quests done for Zuba. I nearly forgot her name. So important. How important she is.
Ready?
Like, I mean, like, look at Zephy's dragon attack. Like, it's cool and all. Like, you do like the super slashes and then one big boom attack. But it's not the same as like the insanity that they made for Charlotta. Like, it's the same as what the 6th and last member that's going to be joining the party. Which you might have already worked out who it is, because it's not subtle at all, but I won't say it just in case you haven't worked it out. Her special is also pretty cool, but the main reason why I prefer Charlotta's over the 6th party members is because, like, they actually optimized it well. If you're playing on PC, this isn't a problem, but if you're playing on console, the 6th character's special attack is not optimized well at all. It stutters like mad. It's like a strong 20 frames per second for the whole thing. It's kind of funny. I'll try and show it off in the same way that at some point I'll try and show off Lapinette's, but it won't be until after the time limit now. Because I've recorded into the start of the time limit, the cast of 3 we've got, which is Zephy, Manessa and Charlotta, is who we're sticking with for the entire rest of the journey. Until at least the time limit ends. When the time limit ends, I'll be sure to at least show off a little bit more Lapinette and Faria. And in hindsight, but hindsight's 2020 I guess, in hindsight I should have had Lapinette replace Caricaro for the Sanctuary Cave, since neither of them are going to be in the final party anyway, just so I could show off Lapinette. But I kind of wanted to get through the Sanctuary Cave somewhat comfortably, so I didn't want one character lagging behind because she hadn't been a part of the Forest of Judgment, and Lapinette starts at a lower level than everyone else anyway. Charlotta actually starts a couple levels higher, but everyone else will soon catch up just because of experience distribution. They have a system in place where characters who are higher leveled will get less experience anyway, whilst characters who are lower will get more. Which is why, even though Charlotta is 2 levels ahead, eventually the rest of the cast will kind of sort of catch up. It'll be a while yet, because the dip in experience for being a higher level is tiny. Like, it takes a lot of levels for it to become quite significant, and I think the reason why they made it so tiny is because they knew the way the game works and the way characters join, there's only going to be like 1 or 2 levels in it anyway, so it's just a way of kind of smoothing the board slowly over the course of the game. Oh, I didn't even see that enemy. This dungeon is actually like probably the shortest in the game if you're just going from beginning to end. Actually, I take that back. There's an area called the Wilderness of Spells later on, and that is literally, the exit is right next to the start. It's just because it's an open desert field. That one's actually technically the tiniest if you're trying to speedrun and just get through it quickly. Which is like something that works both in this game's favour and its detriment. Because of the time limits that will be entering next part, a lot of the dungeons and areas in the game aren't that big. The only one that's kind of a decent size... Oh, these are the red dragon bugs, by the way, and they just tried to hit confusion with the whole party, and even though it connected, we thankfully got away with it.
My turn.
But, because of the time limit, they make all the environments a lot smaller, and so by the time you start getting comfortable and getting used to an environment, you're at the end of it already. And it's always a bit like, oh... Like, there's 1 or 2 bigger environments, and even then, they like add multiple of those save crystals so you can get out, because there is a special ability that at this point in the game everyone should have, because it's like the first dragon you destroy gives it to you. There's a spell you can get, or like an ability that you can get, that allows you to warp between the teleport stones, which is why they're called teleport stones. They're not just save crystals, you can warp between them. So they start, like the 1 or 2 instances where they have bigger dungeons, they make it so there's several of them in there, just so you can still work with the time limit, which still kind of, I don't know, like, I know it's like more beginner friendly in that sense, but at the same time, I've played JRPGs for so many years of my life, that when it's so overly generous, I can't help but raise an eyebrow. Like, I don't mind it being a little generous, because I know that not all of them are trying to be ball-bustingly hard, and I wouldn't want all of them to be super hard, because I think I'd burn out. That's why, as much as I love SMT, I haven't played an SMT game in a little while, because I burnt out. After 4A, Nocturne, and Strange Journey, because that's the order I played them in, I was a bit burnt out of the extreme difficulty, which is why I've been taking a break, and will continue to do so until that HD remaster comes out.
Pretty cool.
Oh, I need to talk about that. I'll get to that in a minute. I need to finish my point, but I need to talk about SMT3 Nocturne HD. But back to this point, even if there are points where I feel like, yeah, I get why some games should be more generous and some JRPGs should be a bit easier, even in easier ones, I think there are points where it becomes overkill, and this game, in the 1 or 2 instances where there's a longer dungeon, kind of falls into that. It never asks you to do a significant stretch before the next save point. But it's a difficult one to critique, because you also have things like the madness scale, and the fact that if you're trying to go for like genuine 0% madness, like the best possible result, there's a chance you could tank a random game over, theoretically, in every single fight, because if you go into a berserk form, because the chance just happens to be unlucky for you, even if it's a 2% chance at full health, if you just happen to hit that 2%, you're resetting. And so, like, having been plentiful with save points kind of works, but even then I'd kind of argue against it, because there's a quick save system in this game. At any point you can pause and quick save.
You're nothing.
Oh, there's our first instance of an enemy that we are too strong for. If you overlevel an enemy, they won't fight you, they will be fearful of you, and if you run into them it will start a normal fight, but if you just swing at them, you'll kill them instantly, and you'll still get the rewards for doing so. Which would have been fine, but that was a rare dragon bug, so I probably should have fought it for the devouring, because I don't know if everyone managed to devour one.
Sense the dragon. No.
I wasn't paying attention, I'm pretty sure it did. But, yeah, that's essentially what you're working with. This game has very tiny dungeons, but on the odd instance that it has a big one, they're extremely plentiful checkpoints, and you have quick saving. Which, if you're wary of the idea of the fact that there's going to be a time limit involved with whether or not you get the true ending, hopefully that can relax you a little bit in knowing there's a lot of breathing room, and you can make as many save files as you want, so you can fall back on older saves if you're not comfortable, or you felt like you took too long in a section and you're not sure how it's going to go, things like that. Ultimately, I'd recommend a save point out here, drop a save there, just because then you've got a save before the time limit. And just leave that one separate. You probably won't touch it again, because trust me, it's not that bad. As much as I'm making it sound kind of bad, it's really not too bad as long as you keep moving. It's just as you dawdle, you feel it.
Whoa. Pretty
But
cool.
still, leave a save just so you have like an ultimate backup if all else really fails. But it's kind of a long stretch back, so ugh. That being said, I've got like a minute or so left of the recording, so I need to talk about the craziest announcement I never expected from that Direct Mini the other day. That amazing Direct Mini that people are bitching at just because they made it very clear it was going to be a small partner-focused stream, and yet they didn't announce a new Nintendo first party, because of course they didn't. They said it's going to be a partner stream. Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne is getting a HD remaster for PS4 and Switch, coming out in October in Japan and in spring for the rest of us. Oh my god, yes. I love that game. It's one of my all-time favourite games. It genuinely is, like, right up there as one of the best games I've ever played. And yes, it's brutal, and it'd probably end up being the longest project ever, because I would do it at 100% run, but because the game is huge, like we're talking like 60 plus hours,
I got it.
I would actually be having a 100% walkthrough on standby near me, which would just slow down the whole process, because if there's ever been a point where I've loosely followed a guide, aka DMC2, you'll know there's a lot of stutter and stop and starts where I'm just making sure I know my stuff. So Nocturne would end up being a little slower because I'd want to show off absolutely everything, but because it's so big I know I'll miss something otherwise. But yes, I will absolutely be doing a Let's Play of Nocturne when it eventually comes out. Maybe not straight away, but it will definitely happen. That being said, we've cleared out this dungeon, so I'm going to leave it for now. Next time on Dragonstar VARNIR, we'll finish off the Madness Forest. But until then, you take care now.